See you in the next one.
Alright, I guess while this is going, what's up everyone, I'm FeralPigMan. Got Deuce and Bic here. Bastion starts with SDA timing, so it's when you gain control. So it'll start in 3, 2, 1, go. So this is Bastion. It's kind of an arcade type game. The main trope is that like the world's been destroyed and you basically have to rebuild it. And so the way the game works is as you're moving, the ground forms up ahead of you, which is a really cool idea. I loved it when I was playing casually, and I hate it when I speedrun. Mostly because like the game. So in general, the ground forms up at kind of the speed that the devs expect you to be moving. There is one thing that we do for a speedrun, which is why you basically have to play this. If you're going to speedrun this game, you have to play it on PC. Because if you use the mouse keyboard, which I'm using right now, for some strange reason, when you're moving with the mouse and you roll, it adds your move speed to your roll speed. So whenever you roll, you move about 30% faster, which is awesome. But this means that you're moving faster than the devs expect. So a lot of times you're moving faster than the ground can keep up. So if you're not being careful, you can move too fast, and what'll end up happening is you just fall, and which isn't the end of the world. You fall, and basically what happens is you fall back on the map and you take damage. But what it does mean is that every time you fall, you lose about 2.5 seconds. So probably the hardest part about learning this game is, which is why like you can't roll constantly here or you'll fall. The hardest part about running this game, I think, is being able to roll quickly without rolling too fast. Which is just a rhythm. It's a rhythm you have to pick up with each level. So this is the New Game Plus category. Basically what that means is that when the game starts, you have all the weapons that you ended the game with, as well as all the upgrades. Which is why, like, as soon as I stop in the arsenal, I swap out all the beginning weapons because they all suck. And you also start with all the special skills. The main one of which is Pike Vault, which I'm gonna fail to do here. So what you're supposed to do is jump across like that and not have to ride the barge at all. But it's a very broken skill. When I was playing casually, I never used it because it's basically like a Dragoon jump in Final Fantasies. You leave the ground, and you come down, and you deal more damage. The only problem with this game is that when you leave the ground, you actually land not where you started. You move forward and land a bit, and also enemies move at the same time, so it's actually really hard to hit enemies with it. But how far you move is actually dependent on your movement speed. And like I said, your movement speed is 30% faster. So that means that you can you can basically jump and land farther than expected. So we can use that. We use that in a few places to basically skip parts of levels. That's what I tried to do on the barge. You can kind of jump the gap and not have to worry about waiting or riding the barge all the way. So the other big glitch, or another big glitch, for any percent, there are kind of two categories in this game. There's New Game and New Game Plus for both of them, but there's any percent and ASL, all story levels. The difference between those two is that in any percent, we do what's called core duplication. The general idea with this game is you pick up 7 cores and 7 shards. The game treats them the same. They're basically the same. But we grab basically 14 total objects. So you're supposed to grab 14 of them. However, if you interact with the core, the game doesn't actually make it so you can't interact with it again immediately. So if you interact with it again fast enough, you can grab another one. And this sounds hard, but actually all you have to do... So this is a pike vault. You basically skip the entire... You skip the entirety of the level and just go to the very end. This is one of the bigger ones. But so basically, what you do is I think I'm not entirely certain how fast you have to interact, but I think they have to be on consecutive frames, which sounds hard when apparently like I joined the scene when this is already all figured out, but apparently everyone was like, well, it's impossible. Like you have to hit a button on consecutive frames basically. And apparently someone who wasn't even in the Bastion community was like, well, why don't you just, because you can rebind keys in this game. So what we do now is you just bind interact to the mouse scroll wheel, and you just scroll the mouse wheel, and it interacts with it twice. So you pick up 2 cores. So what this means is that we only actually have to pick up half of the cores, and this lets us skip a large portion of the game. We skip about 2/3 of the game, because not every level actually has cores. So we skip a lot. The record for this is 1307. The record for New Game Plus ASL. If Arcdice is in the chat, he has it. Vol'jin, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's around 43 minutes. So any percentage is significantly faster, just because you can do cores. Another byproduct of that is when you go to the Sky Bridge, this is where you go to select the next level. I'm good at game. When you go to the Sky Bridge to what the? All right. That could have been bad. If you end up on that middle part without any block tonics, you soft lock and you have to reset. That was not what I wanted to do. Oh my god. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So when you go to the Skyway to select your level, it doesn't actually take into account what levels you've beaten. What it does is it looks at how many cores you've put in and uses that to figure out what levels you have available. So since we're doing core duplication, it basically lets us select all the fastest levels and not do any slow levels, which is another reason why it's so fast. So this glitch I did right there is a glitch you'll see again later. Basically, there's a bunch of objects placed around the Bastion, and whenever you interact with them, or whenever you get close enough to them, they halt your movement. And it kind of does like a little cutscene. So since the game thinks your movement is halted, really weird things happen if you can suddenly move during those cutscenes, which you can do if you fall into the cutscene, basically. And so what happens is usually when you fall, the game... I see. When you fall, the game kind of does different things with your character. So when you fall into the cutscene, it triggers the cutscene but allows you to still move. And what that means is you can essentially just drop. Usually when you drop things into the monument, you can't actually drop in the second one for, I don't know, like 5 to 10 seconds, depends on which one you drop in. But when you do the pipe glitch, which is what the last one was called, and I'll do it again later, it essentially allows you to put them both in immediately, which is awesome. See, like now I can't throw in the second one, and now I put in the second shard. Which if we could activate that glitch every time, it would be awesome. But you can only activate it once, and then it doesn't do the cutscene again, because, I mean, you've seen it already. Alright, Colford Cauldron. This level has the hardest trick in the game. It's called CC Skip.
First try, baby.
I guarantee you I'm not going to get it.
First try, baby.
It's a very, very precise pipe vault.
You feral your energy, he's going to get it first try.
2 cookies for first try, dude.
2 cookies? Dude. That is an incentive that I have to get. So in theory, when it was first discovered, we thought it was basically impossible. So you're vaulting from here to where those spikes are. Y'all got it? All right. So that's CC skill.
You did it as fast as Delm.
I was teaching Delm, and he got that on the second try, and it's the hardest trick in the game. So the reason it's hard is it's... Excuse me? Oh my god. So basically what you're doing is you're vaulting to the other part of the ground, but you don't actually land on the ground. Like if you were looking closely, you can see my shadow over the air, and you just kind of lands on nothing and rolls off. Which is why it's very difficult. You're not actually aiming for a spot. You're aiming for like a direction. And it's very finicky. And I'm glad that I immediately just walked off the ground without... So somehow the mouse wheel didn't want to register or something, I don't know. But it's a really difficult trick. That was discovered, I think, about 2 years ago. And this is already the last level of the game. There are a couple things with this. Bastion is really cool because there's almost no RNG. If you play New Game, there's actually, I think, no RNG. And then if you play New Game Plus, it introduces some RNG because one of the weapons I have is the Brusher's Pike, and like I mentioned, I mentioned at the beginning that we have all the upgrades. One of the upgrades for the pike is a 15% chance to crit, which I didn't get any of. Oh, there it is. So it's a 15% chance to crit. That only actually comes into play on 3 occasions when you're actually using the pike. But that is Sir Lunky. You can 0 cycle him, which means kill him before he jumps if you get... you might be able to do it with 1. I forget if you need 1 crit or 2. But it actually saves quite a good amount of time if you get crits. When you do this in New Game Plus, there's actually a different strat you can use, where he dies... he dies without you even... Like, you can get him to jump off the ledge and he just kills himself. But that obviously requires him to jump, and it's faster to kill him before he jumps. Which is why we do that for New Game Plus.
Say what you will about Soul.
So this is a glitch that was found about 1.5 years ago, right before SGDQ 2014. But basically you're supposed to kill these guys and liberate the Bastion. Basically kill all the Ura, and then you're able to set a core into the monument. But it turns out that if you die and then save reset, it totally skips that entire thing, and you can just place the shards in the monument. And that was the second instance I fell into these books, and the books instigated another cutscene which let me... Geez, no mail. It lets you move while the books are going, you can just drop them in the cores immediately, and it saves quite a bit of time. It doesn't save as much time as the other one, but it's something you can only do on New Game Plus too. So I just have to make sure not to talk to NPCs. Each time you talk to an NPC, it costs 8 seconds. And time is when you select an ending.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
13:49, I guess that's...
You got like almost the exact same time that was set on there.
Yeah! Dude,
1 second off.
Crack beat me by a second.
You didn't have the balls, dude. That's what it was.
I didn't have the balls.
Not enough balls.
You need 2 crits for a 0 cycle? Alright. Still faster. Optimally, it's faster to go for crits. And this is Bastion. So, new game, or any percent is super fast, but it's a very good game. It's always on sale. You can probably get it for like $3.50 if you checked in Steam. And if you've never played it, I highly recommend you play it. It's awesome. And it's got awesome music, and it's a great game. So, yeah.
Cool.